And Caitlin from the logo. Caitlin, how about from here? They got the Kelseys in. They got the Kelseys in. Even Lisa Bluter.
Nike is channeling the palpable excitement around Caitlin Clark into their most significant new athlete shoe launch since Kevin Durant. Her signature sneaker, arriving spring 2026, shatters the traditional WNBA model. It's not a niche release, but a mainstream moment, designed for global impact and positioned to dominate the cultural conversation, mirroring the trajectory of basketball's biggest icons.
I like this. I like it. I genuinely do. From anywhere. I have to admit, I like it. I like it. I think Nike, in fairness, I think Nike probably did a poor job when it came to Caitlin Clark, of hyping her up realistically. I think Nike did a good job. Have done a good job since then. I do. I really do.
Nike's meticulous marketing for Caitlin Clark's shoe reveals their strategy. They aren't positioning her within the WNBA's commercial landscape, but within the entire sports pantheon. By crafting a legacy narrative with her college coach and signature move, they are employing the blueprint reserved for transcendent icons like LeBron and Durant. This signals Nike's belief that Clark's appeal is mainstream and generational, aiming to capture a market that views her not just as a women's basketball star, but as one of basketball's definitive global stars.
Yesterday I released one video and I'm like, man, this has been a complete dead period. It has been a complete dead period when it comes to Caitlin Clark Nike. And I cannot wait until Nike start actually selling Caitlin Clark merch in Europe. Because if you guys don't know, the customs and taxes is just not worth it right now. To buy any of the Caitlin Clark logo stuff, and you better believe it. I promise you this. I have quite a decent chunk of money. A decent chunk of money set aside for when Caitlin Clark merch actually starts.
Nike's approach to Caitlin Clark's signature shoe reveals a fundamental strategic shift. Unlike the standard 6 to 8 month timeline used for other WNBA stars, a model designed for a dedicated but niche audience, Clark's spring 2026 release is being given an 18-month global runway. This extended horizon is reserved for icons, not category stars. It's the timeline of a cultural event, not a product drop. This period allows for a coordinated worldwide marketing campaign, synchronization with major international retailers, and the slow build of mainstream, cross-demographic anticipation. Nike is clearly investing in Clark's potential to transcend women's basketball itself. The extended launch window signals their intent to position her not merely as the face of the WNBA, but as a peer to their most monumental basketball ambassadors, aiming for a debut that reshapes the commercial landscape of the sport.
You can see here ahead of her 2K or 2026 CC collection launch, and it says here as well from Twitter account Nick DePaula, Caitlin Clark's anticipated signature is expected to launch spring of 2026. Nike signature roster features all-time greats, and I'm incredibly proud to join some of the best athletes in the world. I'm excited to share a first look at what we've created together. This is going to be announced soon. I mean it. It is going to be announced soon, and I'm looking forward to it.
The 18-month runway is a direct and costly investment in global logistics, targeting a fundamental barrier: international access. Currently, a European fan faces prohibitive fees to import Clark's merchandise. This timeline allows Nike to build the distribution networks, from warehouses to retail partnerships, in Europe and Asia, that a WNBA signature has never required before. This massive infrastructural push proves the ambition transcends the sport. By ensuring a simultaneous global launch, Nike is not merely selling to existing basketball fans. They are strategically positioning the shoe to compete directly in the mainstream sneaker hype cycle, targeting the same consumer who queues for limited Jordans. This is a calculated bet that Clark's cultural resonance will drive demand from a vast audience that views her shoe not as WNBA apparel, but as the next must-have streetwear icon.
They are her shoes, maybe because of when I grew up, and like where I grew up and when I grew up. I always as a kid wanted the mercurial vapors as football boots. Because I think Ronaldo wore them. So, and it looks like Air Max Deluxe as well. For me, the Aja Wilson shoe really reminds me of like the football boots that I really wanted as a kid. The Mercurial Vapors from like 2004, 2005. I think Aja shoes really reminds me. And they also, I really did like the Air Max Deluxe, which kind of reminds me of the Aja shoes as well. Either way, I really like the Aja shoes.
Nike's design strategy for Caitlin Clark's signature shoe is the definitive proof of their global, mainstream ambition. They are deliberately navigating past the pure performance model, like the Sabrina Ionescu line, a technical, low-profile shoe built for on-court biomechanics, and instead targeting the lucrative hybrid category. This approach prioritizes a lifestyle-first silhouette, a shoe engineered to look exceptional in casual settings, from campuses to city streets, while retaining credible basketball performance. This design philosophy directly serves the expansive timeline and worldwide distribution plan. It acknowledges that their primary market extends far beyond the hardwood to include the vast sneakerhead community, fashion-conscious consumers, and casual fans who may never play competitively. By forging this versatile product, Nike aims to capture the cultural sweet spot occupied by icons like Michael Jordan and LeBron James, whose signatures became wardrobe staples detached from sport. The goal is not merely to outfit athletes, but to create a daily wear icon, ensuring the shoe's appeal transcends the game itself and drives unprecedented commercial scale for a women's basketball product.
Nike are absolutely going to hit because they do have a tendency to do it. They have a tendency to hit when it comes to their signature shoes, especially for women's basketball. And by the way, like, I think they hit this year on everything. I like LeBrons. I like the LeBrons. I like the LeBron James. Is it the 20? What is it? Is it 23s this year? I like the LeBron 23.
The Mercurial Vapor comparison is crucial. Those football boots became a global cultural phenomenon, not merely because of their on-pitch performance, but because Nike marketed them as a symbol of elite aspiration, directly tied to Cristiano Ronaldo's transcendent brand. They were worn as much for their statement as for their function. This is the exact playbook Nike is deploying for Caitlin Clark. The strategy is not to sell a basketball shoe to basketball players, but to sell the Caitlin Clark identity, excellence, audacious confidence, and her signature Logo 3 mentality to a global audience. The product becomes a wearable emblem of these values. This focus on lifestyle and cultural symbolism over pure performance explains the unprecedented commercial ambition. If the design successfully captures this aspirational quality and the marketing narrative resonates broadly, the shoe's addressable market expands exponentially. In this scenario, it is not hyperbole to suggest Clark's debut could outsell the combined first-year totals of every prior WNBA signature, fundamentally resetting expectations for the commercial power of women's basketball icons.
Like it's a Kobe 6 where it's enough different, but maybe you give the snakeskin pattern or something along those lines. And I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do, but I think sky is the limit for Nike with this. And they know that this is their biggest sneaker launch for a new athlete that they have had since... Geez, I'm trying to think. When do you think the last athlete that's comparable to Caitlin Clark that Nike have had? I would say you realistically might be going back to when they first got Kevin Durant. And yes, Kevin Durant was absolutely that big back then. But like you are probably looking at Kevin Durant-esque. And you've now got obviously Caitlin Clark, who is releasing her Nike sneaker, and soon. It's going to be soon. So hopefully we can get more news on that, more official news, and it's not just speculation from a random tweet. We can get more official news soon, but it's going to be soon. There's going to be some announcement soon. Whether or not they're released soon, I don't know. But there's going to be some announcement.
Caitlin Clark's signature shoe launch with Nike is far more than a new product drop. It is a high-stakes corporate experiment that will serve as a litmus test for the commercial ceiling of women's professional basketball. Every facet of the strategy, the reported 8-figure, 8-year contract, the unprecedented 18-month global rollout, the hybrid lifestyle performance design, and the marketing narrative built on transcendent identity rather than sport-specific utility, represents a radical departure from the established playbook for WNBA endorsements. This is not an incremental step. It is a declarative bet, backed by billions in market data and decades of sneaker culture expertise, that a women's basketball player can anchor a mainstream cultural moment on the scale of the sport's biggest male icons. The implications ripple outwards, promising a rising tide of investment while simultaneously exposing the complex and often uncomfortable currents of equity, representation, and value distribution within the league itself. The financial implications are the most immediate and stark signal of change. They are not acting on sentiment, but on a belief that her marketability intersects with a scalable business opportunity. This single deal resets the benchmark for what is possible, providing a powerful new data point for agents in future negotiations. It shatters the long-held, self-fulfilling prophecy that women's sports endorsements must be modest because the market is small. Nike, by placing this bet, is asserting the opposite, that the market is large and has merely been underserved. Culturally, Clark's launch forcefully challenges the entrenched narrative around the endorsement pay gap. For years, the disparity between NBA and WNBA player sponsorship deals was correctly attributed to a disparity in revenue and viewership. The argument was simple: companies invest where the eyes are. Clark's rookie season, driving television ratings that rivaled NBA regular season broadcasts and shattering league attendance records, has fundamentally altered that equation. She has demonstrated that under the right conditions, with compelling narrative, accessible star power, and aggressive promotion, women's basketball can capture a mainstream audience. This provides tangible leverage. Her contract is not based on what WNBA players have historically been paid. It is based on the audience she herself is proven to command. This shifts the dynamic from pleading for fair treatment based on principle to demanding valuation based on demonstrable commercial impact. This precedent is the most potentially transformative element for the league's future. If Clark's shoe succeeds, if it sells through its global inventory and becomes a visible part of sneaker culture, it will serve as irrefutable proof of concept. It tells brand managers at Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and beyond that, the commercial viability for women's basketball signatures is not a myth. It opens the door for the next generation of stars, a Paige Buchers, a Juju Watkins, to enter the league with a stronger negotiating position. It could even force a reevaluation of current veterans, compelling brands to consider whether a player like Arike Ogunbowale or Kelsey Plum, with their own explosive styles and fan bases, could anchor a similar, if smaller-scale, lifestyle product. A successful launch validates the "if you build it, they will come" philosophy for global women's sports marketing, suggesting that prior failures were not due to a lack of audience, but a lack of ambition and investment in product and distribution. However, this bright prospect is shadowed by an uncomfortable and critical reality that sits at the heart of Clark's meteoric commercial rise. Her opportunity is not solely a function of her undeniable talent and historic college career. It is also a function of her fitting a specific, marketable profile that corporate America has historically deemed safe for mainstream crossover. She is young, charismatic, possesses a visually thrilling style of play, and is white in a league where the overwhelming majority of players are black. To ignore this dimension is to engage in a disingenuous analysis of how marketing and branding decisions are made. The disparity in investment between Clark and her peers is illustrative. Aja Wilson, a two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and champion, has a signature shoe with Nike. Yet its launch was focused on performance and a core basketball audience, lacking the global lifestyle marketing blitz. Brianna Stewart, a two-time MVP and four-time champion often mentioned in the greatest of all time conversation, does not have a signature shoe with a major brand at all. The commercial chasm between Clark's launch and the treatment of these established, dominant black stars raises profound questions about who is anointed as the face of the sport and who determines that value. This creates a deeply complicated internal dynamic for the WNBA. While the league publicly celebrates Clark's success as a win for everyone, it inevitably breeds tension and resentment among a rank and file that has fought for visibility for decades. It is not Clark's fault that corporations are investing in her at unprecedented levels. She is rightfully capitalizing on every opportunity presented. Yet, the effect is the potential creation of a two-tiered economic system within the league. The next collective bargaining agreement negotiation will undoubtedly leverage this growth to secure higher salaries, better travel conditions, and improved benefits for the entire player pool. The halo effect is real. However, this collective gain does not negate the acute imbalance in individual opportunity. The benefits are distributed asymmetrically. The psychic and financial weight of being the league's primary marketing catalyst falls almost entirely on one rookie, while the rewards for that labor are disproportionately hers. Most players are experiencing a modest uplift in a still modest standard of living, while Clark is vaulting into a different economic stratosphere entirely. Nike's strategy also reveals that this is not a short-term hype play. The extended timeline and the commitment to a multi-year signature line indicate a bet on Clark's sustained relevance over the next decade. This is where the risk lies. Signature sneaker lines are not built on a single moment. They are built on legacy. LeBron James is on his 23rd model, Kevin Durant his 17th. Their lines thrive because their excellence and cultural presence have remained constants for over 15 years. The pivotal question for Nike's investment is whether Caitlin Clark can navigate the transition from historic rookie to perennial all-star and champion. Defenses will scheme specifically to stop her. The pressure will intensify. Sophomore slumps are a real phenomenon. If her on-court performance plateaus, or if public fascination wanes as the novelty fades, Nike's sprawling global infrastructure could look like a monument to miscalculation. Conversely, if she evolves her game, leads the Indiana Fever to contention, and maintains her status as a must-watch talent, then this launch will be seen as a visionary foundation for a decades-long partnership. Ultimately, spring 2026 will be a moment of truth, and success will be judged on more than just units sold. The key indicators will be qualitative and strategic. Does the shoe appear on the shelves of mainstream sneaker retailers like Foot Locker and JD Sports worldwide, or is it relegated to specialty basketball stores and online-only drops? Is the marketing campaign featured during primetime entertainment broadcasts and in fashion magazines, or does it remain confined to sports networks? What is the production volume and price point? A mass market, accessible price indicates a belief in broad adoption. A limited premium price suggests a hedging of bets, aiming for exclusivity over volume. The success or failure of this launch will write the next chapter for the WNBA. A blockbuster success proves that women's basketball has irrevocably broken into the mainstream commercial conversation. It forces every brand to recalibrate, creating a competitive market for player endorsements that benefits a wider array of stars. It justifies further investment in global distribution and marketing for the league itself. However, a disappointing launch, or one that succeeds only modestly, could have a chilling effect. Brands may conclude that Clark was a unique, non-replicable phenomenon, that the WNBA's commercial ceiling remains niche, and retreat to the safer, smaller-scale investments of the past. It could cement Clark as an outlier, a special case that did not translate to broader change. Thus, the Caitlin Clark signature shoe represents the quintessential high-risk, high-reward scenario. It is the culmination of her extraordinary talent and market timing, a test of Nike's marketing prowess, and a referendum on the public's willingness to embrace a women's basketball star as a true cultural icon. It carries the hopes of a league for transformative growth, while simultaneously highlighting the enduring challenges of equitable representation within that growth. When the shoe finally releases, it won't just be a piece of footwear hitting the market. It will be the embodiment of a complex bet on the future of an entire sport. The entire industry, from boardrooms to locker rooms, will be watching to see if it flies.